Viewer discretion is advised. This documentary contains disturbing accounts of real crimes. Long Island, New York, a place known for quiet suburbs, summer homes, and beautiful beaches. But beneath the sand, something dark had been buried for years. For over a decade, police searched for answers, searching for a killer who left no trace. The case went cold until July 2023. That's when a name emerged: Rex Heuermann, a 59-year-old architect, a father, a husband, and now accused of being the Gilgo Beach killer. This is the story of the hidden predator who operated in plain sight and the long road to justice. December 2010, a Suffolk County officer was conducting a routine search for a missing woman, 24-year-old Shannon Gilbert, an escort who had vanished months earlier. Instead of finding her, the officer's cadaver dog led him to something far worse: a human skeleton wrapped in burlap. Then another and another. 4 bodies were discovered in total, later identified as Melissa Barthélemy, 24, Megan Waterman, 22, Amber Lynn Costello, 27, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, 25. All were sex workers who had advertised services online. All had disappeared between 2007 and 2010. Each body had been methodically wrapped, bound, and left near Ocean Parkway, placed with care, almost like trophies. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community, and within days, a chilling new phrase entered the headlines: the Long Island serial killer. What began as a search for one missing woman quickly turned into a nightmare. More remains were found along the marshes and beach brush of Gilgo and Jones Beach. Some bodies had been dismembered. Others were missing limbs or heads. Several had been buried for years. Among them, an unidentified Asian male, believed to be in his early 20s. A toddler, found near the remains of a woman later identified as Jessica Taylor, whose torso had been found miles away in 2003. Valerie Mack, whose partial remains had been found years earlier in Manorville, over 40 miles from Gilgo Beach. In total, 11 sets of human remains were uncovered. The deeper the investigators dug, the more complex the case became. Some bodies had signs of blunt force trauma. Others showed no clear cause of death. Many had been scattered, torsos in one area, skulls in another. There was no clear pattern, and that led to one disturbing question. Was there more than one killer? As the death toll rose, so did public outrage. Why had these victims been missing for years without action? Why did it take Shannon Gilbert's disappearance to spark a real search? Critics pointed to a common thread. Most of the victims were sex workers, women on the margins, people often ignored by law enforcement. Shannon Gilbert's case was especially troubling. She had called 911 on the night she vanished, screaming that, "They're trying to kill me." The call lasted over 20 minutes. She ran through a gated neighborhood, banging on doors, begging for help. Then she disappeared. Yet, police did not treat it as a homicide. They claimed she was having a psychotic episode. Even after the other bodies were discovered, her case remained unrelated. Families were furious. Many felt the police didn't care. And at the center of the criticism was Police Chief James Burke. Burke had barred the FBI from joining the investigation. He claimed Suffolk County could handle it internally. Years later, Burke himself would be arrested for assaulting a suspect and covering it up. He was sentenced to federal prison. Under Burke's leadership, key leads were missed, evidence was lost, and for years, the killer remained free. In 2022, with new leadership in Suffolk County, the case was reopened. A new task force, made up of local detectives, FBI agents, and forensic experts, quietly began re-examining the case using new tools: digital forensics, cell phone triangulation, and advanced DNA analysis. A major breakthrough came from a burner phone used to contact Amber Costello. The phone had pinged towers near Midtown Manhattan during work hours and near Massapequa Park at night. This mirrored a daily commute, someone working in the city and living in the suburbs. The suspect also drove a green Chevy Avalanche, spotted near the victim's home in 2010. That same vehicle appeared on traffic cameras in multiple areas tied to the case. The vehicle was registered to one man, Rex Heuermann, an architect, owner of a firm in Manhattan, married, 2 kids, living in Massapequa Park, just 20 minutes from Gilgo Beach. Investigators launched full surveillance on Heuermann. They followed him, tracked his movements, monitored his devices. Then, he slipped up. One day, he threw out a slice of pizza. Agents collected the crust and tested the DNA. It matched a hair found inside a burlap sack that once held Megan Waterman's body. This was the first physical evidence linking Heuermann directly to the murders. From there, the case unfolded quickly. Investigators discovered burner phones used to contact sex workers and victims, disturbing Google searches, how to get away with murder, how to prevent cell phone tracking, chloroform effects on humans. Why hasn't the Long Island serial killer been caught? Thousands of explicit images, many violent or sadistic in nature. Jeeps and cell tower data placing Heuermann near the abduction sites and victim drop zones. Records confirming that during each victim's disappearance, Heuermann's wife was out of town. The pattern was chilling and undeniable. On July 13, 2023, Rex Heuermann was arrested outside his Manhattan office. SWAT teams raided his home. What they found stunned even seasoned officers. Locked vaults and hidden rooms. Over a dozen burner phones, unregistered firearms, fake IDs, violent pornography, notes, maps, and potential burial site drawings, security surveillance systems, and encrypted hard drives. One investigator described the scene as stepping inside the mind of a killer. What made it worse? Heuermann had been hiding in plain sight for years. He went to PTA meetings, commuted to work, vacationed with family, and all the while, allegedly, committing some of the most brutal, calculated murders in New York history. To neighbors, Heuermann seemed quiet, odd, maybe, but unthreatening. A former co-worker described him as robotic. Others said he lacked empathy, rarely smiled, never made eye contact. At work, he was controlling, meticulous. He kept detailed spreadsheets tracking client calls and email timestamps. He craved control, both professionally and, investigators believe, in his personal crimes. Behavioral experts describe him as a power control killer, a type of predator who finds satisfaction in domination, not rage. The fear in his victims, the helplessness, that's what fueled him. And despite the mountain of evidence, Heuermann has pled not guilty to all charges. His defense argues there's no direct proof he committed the crimes, but prosecutors believe otherwise. He is currently charged with the murders of Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, Amber Lynn Costello, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, and the case may not be over. As of mid-2025, Rex Heuermann remains behind bars at Suffolk County Correctional Facility. Prosecutors are building what they say will be a devastating case. Meanwhile, investigators continue analyzing hundreds of digital devices seized from his home, office, and vehicles. Encrypted hard drives, deleted files, labeled folders, and possibly evidence connecting him to more victims. They are now exploring whether Heuermann may be linked to similar unsolved murders in New Jersey, Nevada, and elsewhere. The FBI is cross-checking his DNA with unidentified remains nationwide. Could this be the tip of a much larger iceberg? For over a decade, the Gilgo Beach case haunted Long Island. But this case is more than a serial killer story. It's about how law enforcement fails the vulnerable, how women, especially sex workers, are often ignored until it's too late. The victims weren't just headlines. They were daughters, sisters, mothers, people trying to survive. Melissa Barthelemy, who called her sister one last time before vanishing. Amber Costello, who was trying to escape addiction. Maureen Brainerd Barnes, a poet and mother. Megan Waterman, who wanted a better life for her child. Shannon Gilbert, whose 911 call triggered the search, but was never treated as a victim. Their voices were buried, but someone kept looking. And in the end, the truth came out. This is Global Crime Files, and this was the case of Rex Heuermann, the man accused of being the Gilgo Beach killer, a chilling story of hidden evil and justice delayed, but not denied.